After months of minute-long teaser videos, Rockstar just did the game trailer equivalent of swaggering into a saloon and making the piano player shut up, which is to say, they dropped 6 minutes of Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay, and now it's all we can think about.
You coming, buddy?
We were already impatient for October the 26th, but now we really can't wait to do the following things. As Red Dead Redemption 2 protagonist Arthur Morgan, you'll have many more ways to interact with the good, bad, and ugly folks of the Old West beyond shooting or not shooting them, or occasionally lassoing and hog-tying them. What? Didn't buy this lasso to not hog-tie anyone. You decide how much aggression to use in potential confrontations, escalating or de-escalating an encounter with contextual choices, such as to greet someone,
That's a nice horse.
or to beat someone.
Keep your mouth shut, or you're dead, friend.
You can threaten non-player characters to make them cooperate by not raising the alarm, for instance, or defuse a hostile situation with some good-natured, wholesome cowboy talk. But of all the innovations in Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay reveal, we might be most pumped for the Antagonize button. Frankly, the option to roleplay Arthur Morgan as the Old West's most ordinary outlaw is too good to pass up. Basically, we anticipate hitting the Antagonize button a lot more than the Defuse button. But don't get us wrong, after the way ambient encounters in the last game went from naught to bandit shootout in 3 seconds, we appreciate the option to turn a blind eye to someone else's villainy when we're too tuckered out from a day of rooting and tooting to get involved.
Take it easy. Do what you want. I don't care.
Anyone who's seen our playthrough of Red Dead Redemption will know that we formed a long and lasting bond with our horse, Orson Welles. The bad news is that bond only existed in our heads. The good news is that that bond will very much be recognised by Red Dead Redemption 2. Rockstar is introducing a new horse loyalty system for Red Dead Redemption 2, and the way they describe things, it sounds as though your horse is more like a companion character than just a means of transportation.
I got a fella been looking for a decent workhorse like this for a while.
It'll need to be fed, and thanks to the addition of saddlebags, can be used to stow inventory as well as larger weapons. The breed of your horse will now affect more than just its stamina and speed. Different breeds will react differently to varied terrain, and the horse's breed will also affect how calm it stays during chases and combat. This is something that will also be affected by your bond with your horse. If you take the time to feed it well, keep it groomed, lead it occasionally instead of riding it everywhere, and don't, for example, keep trying to ramp it off cliffs for a laugh, the horse will trust you more and keep it together better in stressful situations. A less loyal horse, meanwhile, can be prone to behaving unpredictably when under pressure, which is something any self-respecting cowboy is going to want to avoid.
Yeah, he's a great horse, aside from when the devil's got him.
Finally, unlike in Red Dead Redemption, horses will no longer teleport to your location when you whistle. You'll need to be close by for them to come when you call, a bit like the system used in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, unless the horse is really loyal, I suppose. Hey Orson Welles Sr., if you really loved me, you'd learn to teleport. While it looks like we'll be getting a better look at combat in upcoming gameplay videos from Rockstar, what we've seen so far is very encouraging. Unless you're an enemy cowboy in Red Dead Redemption 2. Then it's really bad news for you. Deadeye makes a reappearance, which is great because Deadeye is awesome, and in a move sure to please fans of Overwatch's McCree, which is to say, me, Arthur can fan the hammer on his revolver to fire multiple shots in quick succession. Shooting people should look more spectacular as well, thanks to improvements in the Euphoria physics engine, best demonstrated by this unlucky cowpoke who gets shot, falls off his horse, and then is kicked sideways mid-fall, almost a full century before America's Funniest Home Videos would have allowed him to monetize that. Ouch. From this video, it looks as if you can have an off-hand weapon which you can hot swap to without having to bring up the weapon wheel, as we can see here from Arthur firing the last bullet in his revolver and immediately switching to the shotgun he has held in his left hand. Also, does this shot of Arthur cleaning his gun mean that we're going to have to keep our weapons in good condition if we want them to work properly? I loved doing that in Fallout New Vegas, so I am fully on board. In other gun news, you can now also pull your gun without aiming it at anyone as an intimidation tactic, just to let people know that you have a gun, F their eye. A detail from the longer demo that Rockstar showed to the press that I love is that you can now apparently get your hat shot off randomly and have to go and buy another one. I mean, I love it as an idea. No doubt the first time I lose an expensive hat, I will change my mind and think it's the worst thing ever. The story of Red Dead Redemption 2 concerns the Van der Linde gang's move across America as they try to stay one step ahead of the law, and as they go, they'll be setting up camps along the way.
We're gonna borrow a little money from old Uncle Sam and be out of his hair once and for all.
This new camp system is one of the key new additions to Red Dead Redemption 2, as the camp is essentially your home base, where the gang hides out between missions, where you go to rest and heal up, and where you get a good chunk of your two-fisted cowboy adventure story from. Arthur is Dutch's right-hand man, and as such has a leadership position in camp. Of course, you can utterly shirk your responsibilities, if you so choose, and spend your time punching out piano players, but if you want, you can try and keep the camp happy by boosting morale. For example, a hungry camp is an unhappy camp, so you can choose to go hunting to bring back supplies, or just head into town to buy some. Seriously, do you want to deal with these guys when they're hangry? Exactly. When everyone's in a good mood, they'll react differently and maybe even open up new conversation options and side missions for you to follow. So while Rockstar has said it isn't compulsory, making sure you keep up your camp's morale is important if you want to see everything the game has to offer. Right, Arthur? Now come on, it's time to feed the chickens. Arthur? As busy as life gets back at camp, it's important to take time out from dodging your chicken-feeding chores to just kick back and drink in this gorgeous scenery, because I mean, look at it. You can't see me right now, but I'm kissing my fingers like a chef in a pasta sauce commercial. Mwah! We all expected spectacular panoramas and eye-popping lighting effects after the visual treat that was Red Dead 1, given the 8 long years of progress since that came out, but the density and detail of these landscapes and the cinematic splendor of this swanky lighting is something to behold. Where was I? Oh yeah, Redemption. We mentioned hunting, and as this was one of our favourite side activities in the original Red Dead Redemption, we're super excited to see the ways in which the sequel has stepped up its game hunting game. Arthur has the ability to track animals after wounding them, which will come as a relief to any Red Dead Redemption player who winged a deer in tall trees and then lost sight of them among the hills and branches. You can also sling animal carcasses across your horse to take them back to camp or into town for sale, but Rockstar has said that animal carcasses will now start to decay if they spend too long in the sun, so you'll need to get a move on if you want your spoils to not spoil. Along the same lines, people will pay more for skin from an animal that's been killed with a single bow headshot versus one that was killed with a dynamite launcher. Hey, if all else fails, Uncle will probably eat it. Oh, and speaking of those guys... Unlike the first game, it looks like it's not going to be a case of only being allowed to catch up with your favourite characters when they have a mission for you, or even worse, being forced to hang out with Uncle.
That's a nice way to greet somebody. Why don't I get the warm and tender embrace?
We're not even really related, you just showed up one day and never left. Instead, you'll be able to choose to pass the time with your favourite members of the Van der Linde gang, and it looks like we'll finally have a proper drinking buddy rather than just smashing back whiskey alone until we can't stand up anymore. According to Rockstar's video, you'll get to know every member of the gang as the game progresses. Spend enough time with particular members of the gang though, and you'll unlock new missions and activities. Presumably, each member of the gang will have their own unique side hustle that they'll let you in on if you make friends with them.
How about you and me go and redistribute some property?
I'm guessing he redistributed that coat, too. Nothing as fancy. Clearly games like poker are going to return too, but rather than just idle distractions, it looks like there'll be a way to become closer buddies with certain members of the Van der Linde gang and maintain gang morale, at least until you rinse them of all their money and they press their antagonize button. One other thing worth noting is that the facial animations look great. They're a real step up from GTA 5's and are probably going to mean you form an even closer, more human bond with the gang members you interact with. Just as long as absolutely none of these beloved characters are going to die horribly during the story. Still afraid of Barnes to this day. Now, we say we're looking forward to building relationships with our fellow gang members, but let's face it, there's one gang member in particular with whom we want maximum face time. And it's this gang member, and it's this face. Look at it! Look at his face! And also Abigail and I guess Jack are there too. Our fondness for the previous Red Dead Redemption protagonist is a matter of public record, and no shade, Arthur Morgan, but any in-game happenings that add to our understanding of Johnny M before he flees the Van der Linde gang with his family take high priority. So yeah, we'll be following John Marston around the camp, sticking to him like flies on horse manure, but in a way that is much cooler than that sounds. Despite Marston's appearance in the previous Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer, we have still yet to hear him speak, and there's no official word yet on whether they've brought back Rob Wheatoff, the original and iconic voice of John Marston. Still, either way, we're going to be hanging out with John a lot. Right, John? So what are we up to now? I'm up for whatever. John? Those are the 8 things we're most excited to do in Red Dead Redemption 2 now that we've finally seen some gameplay. But how about you? What will you be doing when you finally step into Arthur Morgan's cowboy boots this October? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed to Outside Xbox for lots more on Red Dead Redemption 2 coming soon. Thanks for watching!